Hello, sunshines. Happy 2024. I am Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Instagram, Ravelry, Patreon, TikTok, all the places. And I am here to talk about my 2024 craft goals. I am feeling so good right now, coming off of such a successful 2023 as far as craft goals go. We don't need to talk about, you know, other things from 2023, but craft wise, I am so proud of myself. I met all of my goals. So I do mine with a bingo board, but it's not the traditional 5x5 bingo board. It's a 4x4 because that is more realistic for me. And I have my goals all laid out. So let's get into it. First up, I want to use up 400 scraps from my yarn collection. Those scraps is a little bit misleading of a term because if I use up a whole skein of yarn, then that counts. So, like if I make a project that's a 10 skein project, then that's 10 scraps that I've used up because they're no longer on my stash. But they could also just be little nuggets of leftover yarn in my scrap stash. So I used up over 361 scraps and minis last year. So that's really exciting. I am front loading myself this year on this challenge. I'm pretty excited. I already have the page set up in my journal for it. I'm not keeping it in my craft journal. I'm keeping it in my like everyday journal so that it's just there and I don't have to make a special action out of my way to go grab it. But anyway, I'm front loading because if you take a quick glance over my other squares, you'll be able to see that I'm doing some scrappy things this year. So, next up, finish middle school blanket. So, at the beginning of December, I started a corner to corner blanket. It's holding a strand of black or white yarn together with a colorful strand of yarn or a not neutral color of yarn. My plan is to make a large throw-sized blanket out of that for the middle school auction, much like I did earlier in 2023. I think that was like November-ish I did that. So I want to make another one. That has a deadline. I think the deadline is in February. Not positive. I should probably double check. But that's going to be a scrap buster project because I'm going to be using a bunch of little nuggets of yarn. I think I've decided that I want this particular blanket to be mostly like reds, purples, and pinks as the colorful part, the non-neutral strand. So that's what I'm thinking. We'll see how it actually turns out. But it's going to be a scrap buster, right? I imagine that I'm going to use up at least like 15 yarns in there, but probably more. Then I want to make 3 pairs of DK weight shorty socks, which are going to be made out of 2 strands of fingering weight held together. And my plan at this minute is to use scraps for that. I'm not at this minute intending to use full skeins of yarn, although I do have some really cool yarns in my stash of full skeins that maybe I would hold with other yarn to make scrappy-ish shorties. I don't know. We'll see. So I want to make 3 pairs of shorties, though, that are DK weight. Then I want to finish my black and green leggings. This is This is a fun project for me because I have used these green yarns in so many things now, so many blankets, and I made a sweater using these yarns. So now I'm going to make some leggings. And I know not all of these green nuggets will be fully used up in these leggings, but once they're used up in these leggings, then I will feel free to use them up in all of my other scrappy projects. So, that's another 20-ish scrappy pieces that I'm planning to use up. See, I'm setting myself up for success for that 400 scraps. And once I get past I'm starting at the waist, I'm working my way down because I like the way that decreases look in knitting more than I like the way that increases look in knitting. It's a personal preference thing that I know some people are like, you have a preference. I totally do. I like the way that decreases look better than increases. Whereas in crochet, I like the way that increases look better than decreases. It is what it is. So once I get to the actual legs of this, I feel like it will be faster. It's all fingering weight. It's all knit on US size 1s. Right now it's all 2x2 rib, and sometimes it's short rows in those 2x2 rib. So it's a lot going on. But once I get to the legs, there will be decreases happening. It'll be good. And once I get below the knees, like, those are going to fly off. So it's a lot of work to make these leggings. It's going to be a lot of work. But I'm looking forward to it. I think they're going to be so cute. I can't wait to wear them under all of my dresses come wintertime. Again, December 2024. I want to finish corner to corner blanket. So that is for one of my sister's kids. That has a deadline of June because, as far as I know, that's when that particular kiddo is graduating from high school. It's possible that maybe not, because pandemic-y things messed up timelines for some people in my family for when they're graduating high school. But I think he's graduating this year, and I want to have this corner to corner blanket finished. This is going to be a scrap eater too, because it's 3 strands of fingering weight held together, and I want it to be big enough to cover the top of a queen size bed. So it's going to be a scrap eater. It feels a little daunting that that's on my list, but you know what? It's not that bad. Then I want to make gray knee highs with white stripes. I made a pair last year that was gray with green stripes, and now I want to do white stripes. I don't know how many stripes I want to do at the top. And I don't know if I want to do contrasting heels and toes in the white like I did on the gray socks. Because if we're being completely honest, I like to walk around barefoot all the time in my socks, including outside. Like checking the mail, or if I'm just running out to my car really quick and it's not wet out, it's just cold, then I definitely wear my socks outside. So I don't know about that contrasting thing, but definitely some stripes with that white. Then I want to attach 100 hexies together. Not hexies that are already attached, although I do want to continue to work on that Hexapuff blanket because my kid will be going into their sophomore year of high school later this year, and I want to be able to gift this to them for graduation from high school. So I really need to be working on putting those hexies together so that I can see if I need to make more. I don't know if I need to make more. I have so many hexies, but they're not all together, so I don't know what they look like. So I really need to be putting them together. And 100 isn't that many So, and the other thing too is that they all fit in this project bag. So it'll be really easy to just take these 100 and work on them wherever. Like theoretically, I could take these to the beach and sew them together there. I could take them anywhere, right? Because they just fit in the project bag. So I'm hoping I get those 100 sewn together and also continue to sew some of the other hexies together as well. The ones that are tacked together in the corner. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. I'm sure I'll show it coming up in this coming year. I also want to make a rug for Becca, my roommate. She was in my room in December, and I had my rainbow rug, the one that I made that I finished, I think in December. Um, I had that on my floor, and she was like, wow, this is really nice and squishy and like cozy feeling. I really like this. And I said, oh, I could make you one. So that's going to be, again, a pretty big stash buster. I use a really big crochet hook for that, and it's 6 strands of yarn held together. So we're going to discuss like what she wants. I'm going to have her look at my acrylic yarn stash, see if there's anything in there that she likes for like the basis of it, so that hopefully I can use some of my stash. If she doesn't like any of it, if she wants something really specific, then I'm not opposed to like picking up a skein of yarn here or there for it, but I would like it to come mostly out of my acrylic stash. But again, that'll go toward those scraps, those 400 scraps. 100 barn raising squares together. So at this exact moment, I am at 60. I met that goal last year. So that's just 40 squares that need to be put on. And I'm pretty sure that last year it was like 50 squares that had to be put together. And I put together most of those squares during the month of December last year. So I'm going to try to be a little more cognizant about, putting on a square here or there, because it was actually really it's really exciting watching that blanket grow. I've made those squares. Some of them are more than a decade old. So to have it be looking like a blanket is so very exciting, and I really can't wait for it to be together. Make a bookmark and a book cover for Mandy. That's my sister. So my sister reads a bunch, and she carries books in her purse. And I just think it would be kind of nice for her to have a book sleeve that she can slide her books into before she puts them in her purse, because anybody who is a reader who carries their books around know that books get banged up in bags, right? They just do. So I kind of want to make her something I have a giant stash of denim, old jeans, old ripped up jeans, or things that kids have outgrown that aren't nice enough to pass on, things that aren't really donatable. I have a huge stash, and I have some projects in mind that I want to do with them, and I'm actually going to start a sticky note for possible craft goals for 2025. Maybe I'll put my started sticky note at the end of this video. But I have this huge stash of denim, so I'm thinking I want to make my sister a book sleeve. And also, have you seen those cute embroidered bookmarks that have an initial and they go on the corner of your book pages? I want to make her one of those too, because I think it would be super, super cute. And I like sewing and doing embroidery, and sometimes I forget that when I am making my craft goals. So as soon as that popped in my head, I was like, ooh, I want to do that. I think she'll really like it. The next one is an easy square that will obviously get done, and it is kiddo presents. So historically, this square has been kiddo socks. However, last year I learned that one of my sister's kiddos doesn't wear the socks because it makes their feet too hot. So I compromised and made a hat for them for 2023. But for 2024, I am going to ask the kiddos what they want, with parameters. Like, I'm pretty willing to make them anything that they want that is not 100 hours worth of work. So they don't get to request blankets. They don't get to request like fingering weight sweaters, but I would be willing to make them slightly bigger things. Oh, and I don't think I'll take requests for toys either. Not that I think any of them will request a toy, but maybe, I don't know. I'm actually going to see them before this video is posted, so I think that I'll put in a sticky note right here of what their requests are, so that we know what their presents are going to be. It's okay if none of them are socks. It could be other things. Hats, cowls, fingerless mitts, maybe a sweater, maybe some other accessory. I don't know. I have a blanket that I started for my oldest kiddo. It is a pride blanket, and I bought a bunch of yarn for it. Not all of the yarn. I still need to pick up some colors for it, but I bought most of the yarn for it, and I started it, and then it got set aside. Again, this would be a great project for the scrappy goals, right? There's so many skeins of yarn here, and it's fairly easy. It's garter stitch, and I am basically making the pride flag, but as a blanket. My kiddo asked for it, and I don't see a reason why not. So my plan is to start with a triangular piece on the side, and then I will do the stripes as short rows with increases on one side or decreases depending on how I need the stripe to work. But I won't know how wide I'm making those stripes until I have the base triangle made, so that I can, do the math to figure out how many stitches per stripe. So I am on the pink, so I still have to do light blue, brown, and black before I start the stripes. And I don't know if I'm going to border it or not. I feel like I probably should. I'm probably going to do an I-cord border, aren't I? Seems so like me. Okay, that's later's problem, though. Right now is, just trying to pull it out and work on it at some point. For my team at school, I want to make fingerless mitts. So right now I'm anticipating making fingerless mitts for 7 people. I think that'll be what I need to make for my team, and I'm not putting any parameters on this. I might crochet them, I might knit them. They might be fingering weight, they might be worsted weight, they could be fingering weight scraps held together. I don't know. I just know that I would like to make gifts because I like to make them gifts. And last year I made cowls for everybody. So this year I'm thinking fingerless mitts. They're relatively quick, like comparative to other projects, and they're pretty good stash busters. I have a bunch of cute patterns, so everybody can have different ones, or everybody can have the same ones. I don't know. We'll see how I feel when I get there. I also want to catch up my reading blanket to current. I meant to, before I started recording, I meant to figure out how many books I am behind right now. But I'll put that number in here so you can see how many books I need to catch up on. And obviously this number will fluctuate as I read books in 2024. I'm hoping to at least keep up with the trend of when I finish a book, I make 2 squares so that I'm like getting closer to caught up. And then I'm sure at some point I will just make a bunch of squares to catch up. And again, great stash buster, because these are the interior of the squares, the colorful part. Let me tell you about this blanket. So this blanket is a reading blanket, and it's based on how much I like a book. So there's a possibility of 5 rounds of a color. 1 round just means I picked up the book, picked it up, and did not finish. So somewhere in my blanket currently, at this moment, there will be 1 square that's a DNF square. 2 rounds means that I read it, but I didn't really like it, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. 3 squares means it was okay. Like, it wasn't my favorite, but I might recommend it to certain people with niche interests. 4 rounds means that I liked it a lot. I would tell a bunch of people to read it, even if it isn't something that's like necessarily in their specific wheelhouse, but like it's something that I kind of think they would like. I would recommend it. And 5 rounds means I'm recommending this book to everybody. Everybody should read it. Like, stop what you're doing, pick it up. It's so good. It's amazing. I love it. There are only a few books that I feel that way about. So I'm usually in the 3 to 4 round phase. And on this blanket, I have a series of books are all the same color. So like the same minis are used for a series of books. So when you see a whole bunch of squares that are the same color, that's why. I'm super nerdy about this blanket. I love it so much. It's super very exciting. So I want it to be current by the end of 2024 so that I can just be making a square as I finish a book. I think that would be really satisfying, really exciting. This next square right here. This is a square to shame myself into doing something that I should have had finished a long time ago. This heart explosion sock. Okay, first of all, the pattern is lovely. It's super well written. The charts are great. It's fantastic. My main problem with this project is a me problem. I picked 2 yarns that, to the naked eye, look pretty different. They have good contrast in daylight. But then as soon as like twilight hits, or if it's a cloudy day, the darkest purple is too close to the black, and I have a hard time reading the stitches, which is a problem because I'm using a technique called ladderback jacquard, which means that every 5 or so stitches, when I have really, really long color runs, it's the other color that's kind of worked up the back of the fabric. And so I need good light to work on this, which means I can't really work on it in winter. I don't have really great crafting lighting. Maybe for Christmas 2024, I might buy myself like an OT light so that I can have good lighting to work with. But I don't have anything like that right now. So I need to work on this project during summer. If you don't hear me start talking about this project in May, please gently nudge me to pick up this project, because I do want to finish these socks. They're for my work wife and I love her and she deserves beautiful, cozy, cushy socks. But I'm having a struggle bus doing it. So the square is here so that I will have a reminder to work on them because it's going to be in my journal. I'm going to make this sheet and put it up on my wall in my bedroom so I will see it every day. So yeah, that I think that's going to be my hardest square. If I'm being honest, I think that's going to be the one that I'm going to struggle the most to complete. So wish me luck on that one. And then the last square is 2 pair of DK weight socks. Same idea as the 3 pair of DK shorties. I want DK weight socks. I'm going to use minis or scraps for at least one of the 2 strands of fingering weight to make those socks. And I just want some cozy boot socks. So those should be pretty easy. Again, good stash busters. So I feel like this 400 scrap thing, I feel like that square is going to get knocked off fairly early in the year. I don't think it's going to take me until December to do it. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I think that these goals are very doable. Even though I want to finish 3 blankets. Right? 3, 1, 2. Yeah, 3 blankets. I want to finish 3 blankets and a rug that's basically a blanket and some fingering weight leggings that are barely started. You know, whatever. It's fine. I have lofty craft goals, but I think they're good. I think they will be good craft goals. What are you planning for 2024? Do you have a lot of goals? Do you have any goals? Do you have like an overarching theme? A few years ago, I did Year of the Blanket, and that worked really, really well for me. Last year, I was kind of trying to like bust through my stash, and that worked really well for me, like my scrap stash. That worked really well. And as you can see, I'm still continuing on in the vein of Year of the Blanket and scrap busting. So, you know, these things can carry over. What are you working on? I would love to hear your goals. Or if you made a video, drop a link in a comment below. I will go watch it. I would love to hear what you're working on. Or see a picture. If you're on Instagram and you have some goals, tag me in it so I can see. I want to see what your plans are. Yeah. So I've already set myself up for success. I have not all of my projects, but most of my projects, the ones that make sense, I have them in project bags, in a basket, on a shelf in my bedroom where I will see them every day so I can be like, oh yes, this. They're all ready to go. I am planning to jump right into I am currently, as we're watching this video, working on my middle school blanket. You know, getting a jump start on 2 of those goals at once. I'm pretty excited about it. So let me know what you're working on. I would love to hear it, what your goals are, what your thoughts are. And I intend to check in quarterly again with this, just so I can be held accountable. I want to be held accountable for this. So, you know, gently nudge me if you don't hear me checking in on my crafts. If you send me a video, if you tag me on Instagram, if you are currently writing in the comments of this video what your plans are and you want me to check in with you, I will write your name down and set a reminder myself to check in with you specifically quarterly too. I'm not going to call you out in video or anything, but I'll check in just to be like, hey buddy, how's your goal going? Because I think accountability buddies are pretty important. Okay, I'm gonna put a picture of my 2025 tentative plans right after this, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye for now, friends.